This time we're going to look at the rotor. The rotor is one of those two-finger things that we glossed over in our previous videos, and the reason for that is it deserves a video all its own. The rotor is one of the key parts of making your iPhone use faster and more productive. Now, hopefully you can see, let's see where I am on the screen here.
Speech, rotor, heading.
This is again, we're in the iPhone settings here in VoiceOver. And there is a list on the screen, and you will be able to see.
Top of screen.
Let's go
selected.
to the first one here.
Selected. Rows 1 to 14 of 39.
So there are 39 options. You can see the first 14 of them on the screen if you can see. These are all things that can appear in the rotor. So my rotor has Braille screen input.
Selected. Braille screen input.
It also has
selected vertical navigation.
Vertical navigation. It also has
selected characters. Selected words. Selected lines.
It has lines.
Reorder headings.
It doesn't have headings, so you notice headings isn't selected, and that's because if you've been following these in order, you will see that I've mapped my other gestures to moving by heading, so I didn't need that here.
Selected links,
etc. And next to each of these tick boxes is a reorder
links button, draggable
option, which is draggable, and that means I can double tap and hold my finger on the screen and slide it up. So if I wanted to move links above headings, I'll double tap and hold.
Moved above headings.
There we go.
Reorder headings.
And slide that finger up and it would go up there. So you saw that visually, you heard it orally, and what I did basically was double tap, hold my finger on the screen and slide it up and down. So all of these things, this is the rotor option of the VoiceOver settings. All of these things you can turn on or off to be a part of your rotor if you want them. Why would you want them? Well, there are times when you need to move through things by a certain thing. There are times when you want to move through a web page by headings, move through a web page by links, move through a document by line or word or character, etc., etc. So this is where, I suppose, if you think about it, it's one of the useful tools Apple have put into the iPhone to make up for the fact that on a touchscreen you've only got 5 fingers, whereas on a computer you've got lots and lots of buttons on a keyboard. Now, the hardest part of the rotor is learning how to access it. It's not something I can show you very easily. It's a visual thing. The people who I've taught successfully have been advised to use it like they're turning a dial. So you take your 2 fingers and imagine spinning an imaginary knob on your screen.
Vertical navigation, characters, words, volume, speaking rate, containers, language.
So now I've flicked to language, my up and down will change my phone's language.
South African English. Irish English.
English UK, default.
Español.
English US.
So these are all the languages I have on my phone, and I have 3 English voices, as you heard there, and a Spanish one as well. Let's rotate to something else.
Containers.
Going left now.
Speaking rate.
So I can make the speech faster or slower.
57%. 52%.
By flicking
47%.
up or down
52%.
with one finger. So the rotor changes what the one finger flick up and down does. The one finger flick up and down becomes contextualized depending on the setting of the rotor. And there are some things of the rotor, of course, that aren't navigable. So for example, the top one in my list is Braille screen input, which will deserve a whole nother video of its own, which is a typing method on your iPhone screen. If you have some residual sight, or you did have sight before you lost your sight or started to need VoiceOver and you didn't learn Braille, there is also a handwriting mode for typing on, which I'm not qualified to demonstrate, but I'm sure somebody will have done somewhere. So it's not all about navigation. The rotor then is a way of accessing features that your fingers, you just haven't got enough fingers to get to, basically, on the iPhone. If you can't twist this knob. So the easiest way to practice here is to go back into your VoiceOver settings.
Headings, selected, words,
let's go back
speech,
out of that.
button,
if we
caption
go
panel,
to where's VoiceOver
images,
Help or VoiceOver Practice, let's see.
VoiceOver on, VoiceOver speaks, tap once, double, learn more, VoiceOver practice, button.
In here,
selected, general,
you
button.
can practice
1 of 2.
things
Practice
on the screen.
VoiceOver, 1 finger swipe right, 1 finger swipe up, previous rotor item, touch, speak item, 1 finger double tap, activate.
So this is a test bed area. It's a bit like doing the 4-finger double tap thing. But you can practice here. So you get your thumb and finger and you twist,
2-finger rotate clockwise.
or you
Next
twist
rotor.
in the opposite direction.
2-finger rotate anti-clockwise. Previous
and
rotor.
that joggles the rotor, that twists the dial to the setting that you want it on. And then the one finger flick up and down moves by whatever you've chosen. If you can't do it with one hand, and some people really can't, you can use two. So take two hands, and as you're sliding one finger down the screen, slide the other toward the right.
2-finger rotate clockwise. Next rotor.
So you're effectively sliding one down and one right, and then vice versa, slide one up and one left,
2-finger rotate
and
anti-clockwise.
it goes the other
Previous
way.
rotor.
So those are the two methods of twisting the rotor with one or two hands. I don't use the rotor to move all the way round very often. I tend to put the things near the top or bottom I need, so that way I can go from either direction. That'll come with practice. So a really good example is if someone messages you something that you want to check the spelling of, or be able to flick through letter by letter or number by number. You can do that by using the rotor. And if you are wanting to learn about Braille screen input or other things, of course, keep watching. But hopefully that's explained the rotor, and you now understand a little bit about what can be put in it and not put in it by looking at the screen if you can see it. If you haven't looked at the screen because you can't see it, go to your iPhone settings, go to accessibility and voiceover, tap on rotor, and you'll see all the items in there that are possibly in your rotor. Before I go, I should have probably pointed out the rotor can change depending on circumstances. So for example, if you're typing into a text box, one of the options in the rotor is edit. And if you go to edit, you'll then see options for selecting, cutting, copying, pasting, for example. But you won't see that unless you've got anything to copy or paste. Some apps also make use of the rotor for their own purposes. So you will have seen on social media perhaps that you can flick up or down on posts to do different things, and that's all part of the rotor actions as well. So apps can use the rotor. So learn the rotor gesture, learn how to twist it left and right, clockwise and anti-clockwise, and learn how to flick up and down to choose things in that rotor. And hopefully, as we get some more videos recorded, you'll start to appreciate the benefits of using the rotor.